Okay, so thank you everybody for joining me this evening on this day of the summer solstice. This is an early summer solstice this year, and it has been since the time of George Washington's presidency in the late 1700s since we've had a summer solstice that has fallen this early on the calendar year of June the 20th. And it is a special sacred time in which the word solstice means sun stands still, and the earth and the sun come into a special alignment. And of course, most people know it as the beginning of the first day of summer. But other traditions, such as the Celtic people, know it as midsummer. In fact, last night and tonight would be called Midsummer's Night or Midsummer's Night Eve, depending upon which night you're describing. So, and that those traditions see it as midsummer because of it being the point where the energies of summer are already been coming in, and now they are reaching their peak, and then after this peak, the energies will begin to wane with the beginning of the energies of fall tide following on August 1st. So it's just a different way of looking at of which tradition is looking at it. The energies are at its peak right now, especially for those of us who are in the northern hemisphere. I'm not sure if any of you may be joining this live or listening to it on the podcast once it is been put up there from the southern hemisphere. But this orientation and everything I'm going to be doing tonight is mostly for those of us who are participating in the northern hemisphere. So this special day and the special time is also going to be followed by the full moon tomorrow, the special strawberry moon, as it is called, also known as the rose moon. And it is going to be a little unique as well. The sun and the solstice sun is really reaching a high point today. It's like very, very, very high. And the moon tomorrow, the full moon, the rose moon, is going to be rising and staying very, very low considered to other full moons in the sky. And so it's going to seem bigger for that reason, right? So it's actually going to leave into the physical eyes, and a really excellent time for watching that or looking at that full moon. It would be thus around the moonrise time, because when the moon rises, it's already bigger and it looks closer anyway. And because that particular full moon tomorrow night is going to be so much closer, so much lower as to how it moves and how it moves through the ecliptic in the sky, it's going to be lower. So it's going to appear even bigger. So, and it's a very yin yang balance, actually. The full moon, of course, the moon associated with the feminine, and being associated with the rose moon, which is the rose is also associated with the feminine, and then the sun being associated with the masculine energy of the solstice, and having them be so combined here back to back. But the full moon is actually happening in the 3-day window of this solstice period. So I always like to give a little introduction where we're at, especially since it's been since the spring equinox of this year, since I've done one of these global transmissions. It's good to kind of just give a little bit of update where we are in sacred time and any other introduction that I can give before we go into the transmission tonight from Archangel Michael. So so the equinox transmission was something that was very profound, very moving. It was a very emotional experience. In the transmission, there was even a lot of emotion that was being channeled, a lot of emotion that was being expressed. Today has been a very high level emotional day for myself and a group of others that I'm with here in the Washington, D.C. area for this solstice celebration, and for the powerful energies that are coming through right now. Is very, very powerful energies from the sun. Of course, we all know that the sun has been extremely active during its solar max cycle, that it still hasn't reached its max of that solar max. The solar max cycle is every 11 years for the sun's cyclical kind of process that it goes through, and we're in a very strong one. So every 11 years there is a solar max, but we're in a particularly strong solar max that's been going on for a few months now, and it's been kind of having certain peaks. And even last night there was another peak in that solar energy, with there being more of a geomagnetic storm process that influenced not as much as the one back in May, but that was even stronger, of course, and was seen through a much broader stretch of the country, where there was the aurora borealis that was visible in a very broad area. But still, even last night there was some aurora borealis visible in areas that where it's not normally the case for it to be so, because of how active the sun has been and the sunspot activity has been. And that's going to continue. They don't know exactly. They're not able to tell us like an exact day when those solar intense energies are going to be finished, but they do know that it's not until there's actually a natural process that happens every solar max cycle of the sun's magnetic field reversing, so to speak, and then reversing back, and then the solar max completes itself. So we still have several weeks, probably months, is the estimate of this intensified light period and activity of the sun. And this particular summer solstice, because it's summer solstice and it's the time of peak light, when the sun is at its peak and it is at its strongest, is very amplified, and it's amplifying some of that energy. But I've also been receiving information about higher work and higher beings that are very much involved in in amplifying this energy as well. So there's, from my insights into this, intuitive insight into this, there's really powerful activations happening during this solstice time period, planet-wide, and there are people feeling it and they're participating in it. And they're just wondering. I think it's a big question on people's mind. It's like, what is unique about this energy? Is there anything that we need to know right now about this particularly powerful summer solstice and all that's being transmitted to the planet? I believe there's planetary energy and activations happening based on some of the things that I've channeled in some of the work that I've been guided to do. For myself and for others. So yes, so I would put forward some questions like I always do, because the angels ask me to never be approaching them without putting some questions forward. And so one of my questions would just be, from the equinox to now, if there's any information that Archangel Michael wants to share with us, that's, things that have happened between the last spring equinox and this summer solstice, things that have either happened or things that have begun, especially anything, again, with these energies that has been initiated. Is there any update, so to speak, that he wants to give us? Especially pertaining to some of the new energies that are coming in and the strong energies that are coming into the planet right now. And then what to do with them and how to integrate them, right? This was, I'm in Washington, D.C. I've been on my Keeping Your Heart Open book tour here in this area previously to the solstice, and then the last couple of days with a private group doing some work around these solstice energies. And so is there some way that, we all need to work to integrate it, all of us, right? Because I've also channeled some stuff recently that it's impacting everybody, whether we know it or not. These energies that are coming in, not just from the light of the sun, but also from all the higher beings that are involved in the divine kind of orchestration of things that's involved for some very powerful shifts that are starting to take place. So just any energy information about that, any energy updates, those would be some of my questions. Again, how to integrate some of the energies coming in, any further explanations of what they are, or how much longer these kind of energies are going to be coming in. It feels like it's been coming in waves, even with the geomagnetic storm, that light energy and the way that energy has been coming from the sun, and it feels like it's been coming in like, one wave kind of then after another wave after kind of another wave with, again, the solstice energy amplifying things. So that's some of my question. I've been on a series of transmissions from Archangel Michael, also pertaining to the virtues, and that's been really coming up a lot today. And the work that I've been doing and others have been doing that I'm here with, and I always like to give him an opportunity to speak anything further that he wants to say or tell us about the subject of the virtues. Is there perhaps another virtue that he wants us to, to learn about or to understand? This series began many, many months ago at the time that he started speaking about the virtues. He'll talk about other things during the transmissions as well, but then somehow he does, oftentimes, like most 90% of the time, bring in a virtue here, with whatever the additional message is. So I wanted to also ask him if there's any additional virtue he wants to talk about, if there's any additional information that he wants to discuss, regarding that topic, because he said there was 44, and he hasn't spoken about 44 of them yet. So maybe there's some new ones that we haven't heard anything about, and so that's been an ongoing topic. Ongoing topics that he's been speaking about. Again, he can go a completely different direction if he wants, and we're going to give him permission in our invocation prayer. We're going to give him just our hearts and our gratitude, and we're also going to just give him our permission to go anywhere that he feels is for our highest good and discuss anything that he feels is for our highest good. So that's part of the prayer as well. So due to the kind of the nature of me traveling and being on the road for so long and all of that, I'm not going to make my introduction here very long. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not approaching them without any questions, and I'm putting a few things out there. And unfortunately, for those of you who are new to these global transmissions, I welcome you and thank you, but I'm not able to really take any questions from the chat or from people putting anything in the Q&A. In fact, I ask people to kind of refrain from doing that till the very end, in which after the transmission, if you have some questions to ask about something that he has to say, or if you have something to ask me about, or just some comment that you make, then we can just use the chat at the end for as many people who want to make a comment or ask a question, so to speak, at the end. But if you're, again, new to this work, you can learn more about me, and you can learn more about these transmissions on my website, which is where you all signed up, which is annajonesonline.com. And the podcasts are on the podcast page. So if you go to that website, you click on podcasts, you can see there's at least 45 different messages that have been posted on there. There's a much bigger archive that I have. It's really been some of the more recent stuff with just a small number of some of the older messages, but they're all timeless wisdom messages that you'll find just nuggets in there of these golden nuggets that are kind of treasures of wisdom for us to continue to work with and apply. And so you can always go and listen to any of those for free or download any of those for free on that Celestial Voice podcast. And this recording is going to be put up there as well. It's just because I am traveling, it's going to take a few days. So I'd say definitely at least minimum of 5. It could be as much as 10 days, depending upon what my schedule is going to be working out to be before it gets put up on the podcast. But it will also be available on iTunes. In fact, it usually uploads to iTunes first when it's being uploaded, and then iTunes a lot of times notifies people, so you can subscribe to it there, and a lot of times be like one of the first people to kind of get it to, notified when it has been posted. Otherwise, we'll be sending out an email when the recording's been posted, so that you all know when it's ready for you to listen. And then new this year, I just started it on the spring equinox. There's now a YouTube channel for the Celestial Voice podcast. And so even though the videos are a little blurry and grainy tonight due to the Wi-Fi here where I'm located at, it'll still be posted up on that Celestial Voice channel that is on YouTube, so that it can be another source for people to be able to listen to the transmissions and receive them. I have been so busy on this tour that there actually was no way that I would have considered myself personally to add in doing a global transmission to the whole schedule. And I actually wasn't planning on doing one until I just kept getting the intuitive guidance over and over again. And Archangel Michael clairaudiently asking me several times to make sure that it's being included because of just how powerful and potent the energies of this day and what's happening with the sun are, and his desire to continue to play his role in our planetary evolution, and to just have me play my little role in helping him do anything that he wants done. Basically, anything that he wants me to do as a service. So here we are. So here we are. So the process we're going to be using is a process given to me years ago. I've been doing this work for many years now, and we're going to use the process because when it was given to me, it was like told to me that if I always use this process, it would always work. And so until that gets changed or upgraded, I'll continue to use it. We're going to guide you through it. So I'm going to guide you step by step through the process. So the process for the transmission is first and foremost, we've asked the question. So Lisa put a few of them out there, and then I'll just let him take it wherever he wants to take it. And then secondly, is the process is then to participate, first of all, like everybody is a participant. And it's better, you'll get the most out of it if you just like fully participate as a participant in it instead of just trying to be observer or a watcher or something like that. You'll get oftentimes people have experiences with him even personally. They'll feel some of his energy coming through for them personally. People feel sometimes that they feel like he's speaking directly to them, through participation. So and the process then goes on. So if you're willing to participate, to begin with praising, and then going on to asking, thanking, receiving, and then back to praise again. Think of it as being in a circle with praising and then asking, thanking, receiving, and back to praising again. And the praise chant that they've given me, the divine names of Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu. But whenever I'm invoking Archangel Michael, the guidances, or any other archangel that I may be wanting to invoke and do in my channeling work, because I don't just channel Archangel Michael exclusively, but to add that name in at the beginning of the chant. So, and the pronunciation that I'll be working with in the chant is Michael. And so it'll be Michael, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu, Michael, Michael, Michael. And remember, when we're saying Michael, we're not just invoking Archangel Michael through that name, but all of the qualities of the divine that are also embodied in that name. El being an ancient Hebrew name for God and for the divine. So, and in fact, the name Michael in our English translation and many other translations of it and pronunciations of it around the world, the name Michael or Michael translates as he who is like unto God. And that which is like unto God. And so we're invoking all of that, right? All of the energy that is like unto God, the presence of Archangel Michael, and giving him this opportunity to connect with us and to make a heart connection is one of the best connections, but then also to receive my role, which is to be the vocal instrument for the vocal transmission of it to come through. So we'll do the praise chant. And then we'll go into the invocation, and I'll just have everybody, let's just plan on doing it silently tonight, right? So that way it's just best just to kind of have everybody do the praise chants silently. I can sing it and everybody can silently do it inside their own thoughts. And then silently I'll guide you to go through the steps of the asking, and then silently to do from the asking into the thanking, and then to go into a deep meditative just listening state, like just a relaxed meditative listening state will be your meditation during the receiving. And that's when I go into a deep meditative trance state and receive, just let my voice be able to be used to bring through the transmission through. And if you want, like I said, you want to learn more about myself, then you can learn more about that on the website. But for right now, I want to just guide us through the process and go straight into it. So I'm just going to get a drink of water here. All right. So we're going to sit back and we're going to make ourselves comfortable. And we're going to begin by taking some long, slow, deep breaths in order to center ourselves. And I'm going to begin the praise chant, and I'll do it out loud, and we'll just have everybody else do it silently. Adonai, Elohim, Mikael, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu, Mikael, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu, Mikael, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu, Mikael, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu, Mikael, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Eloheinu, Mikael, Mikael, Mikael. And a deep inhale and exhale. Now we're going to move from the praising into the asking. Again, I want you to silently join me and participate as I take us through the steps of the invocation prayer. The first step is to silently call upon the presence of divine love and divine light in whatever way feels right to you. Please join me in doing so. And then let's ask to be protected and connected silently by divine love and divine light, and that we be united in a circle of love and a circle of light. From wherever we are, anywhere in time and space in which we are receiving this transmission, feel our energies connecting, feel our energies uniting, and our souls being protected by divine love and divine light, and our circle of light being filled with divine love and divine light. And I want to have us all individually silently call out to Archangel Michael. Silently call out to Archangel Michael and ask him to be fully present with us. Ask him to use this as an opportunity to speak directly to us a message. Ask him to hear the questions and concerns that I have verbalized here today, and to give us any guidance and insight into any of these things. And then let's silently give him permission to speak to us freely about anything that he feels is for our highest good to know right now. And then we're going to move from the asking into the thanking. And first, we're just going to feel gratitude in our hearts. And let that gratitude go out in whatever way feels right to us, to first Archangel Michael. Just silently sending him our gratitude for all of who he is, all of what he does, known and unknown to us. Our gratitude for all of the many blessings that he is connected to in our lives and in our world. And then we're going to expand that gratitude and go a little deeper with it, and send out a prayer of gratitude from our hearts directly to the divine, and ask that, offer gratitude, offer thanks for our many blessings and for the blessings of life. And then we're going to deepen our breathing, finish now with our gratitude prayers. We're going to let ourselves relax into a quiet, meditative listening state where I want you to just remain in silence all throughout the message. I'm going to go deeper now into my silent meditation until the next words will be the message coming through. I choose to begin this message today speaking about the quickening. The quickening is not just something that has been happening for a short period of time. It has been happening for several years now. All of you feel it, all of you experience it, but you are also a part of it. You're not just subject to it, you're not just an experiencer of it. You are a part of it. It is happening around you, and it is happening in you, and it is happening through you. As is intended in all soul contracts for all who have incarnated upon the planet at this time, have agreed to be a part of the quickening. I have spoken of it in many ways, through many sources, and through this channel. And I choose to speak about it again now. As I have said previously, there is not just one or two or 10 or 20 different shifts. There are ongoing shifts that are part of the quickening. And just to be clear, what exactly is being quickened? I will explain a little of that. It is not just something that you are experiencing and that you are a part of. It is something that the entire planet is experiencing and is a part of, and ultimately it is something that your entire solar system is experiencing and is a part of. I use the term quickening because of how you feel it, and also because as things raise in frequency, the higher the frequency, the faster the vibration and the ripples and the movement of that vibration. You feel it and experience it as faster. And literally, it is higher frequencies. And there are very powerful higher frequencies coming into the planet right now that have been planned for a very long time. There is an orchestration that isn't just for now, and it isn't just for the last few years that the quickening has advanced quite rapidly, but an orchestration that is part of a bigger story. Bigger story that goes back centuries and in some cases even millennia. Because the Earth soul story, your individual soul story, your collective humanity, collective co-creator soul story is not linear and includes so much more than just what you're able to see right now, hear right now, feel right now, in the present day moment in your calendar systems. I have said many times that time is a spiral. A circle, yes, but a circle that is a spiral. But that spiral, even though it continues to advance onward, also has times where it returns. The quickening that is happening right now and the levels of it that is happening right now is bringing forth things that must return, that it is time for them to return. And yes, ushering in brand new things that are going to be manifesting as a result. And what is important for you as co-creators is not to know the entirety of it. It is too much to know. It is too overwhelming for where the mass collective consciousness is at this time to understand it all. But this new phase and stage that this solstice ushers in of the raising of the frequency of the planet, and the next step and major shift in the quickening that is taking place right now over this 3-day solstice period and will continue throughout this sun cycle that is reaching its maximum and that is being worked with. The light is being activated with all of the frequencies that are needed to do everything that is a part of the divine plan. Trust that higher plan. Act in that trust. And yes, I have been speaking on the subject of virtues through this channel. Trust is a virtue. You're not being asked to trust blindly. Because again and again, your trust in the higher power, your trust in the divine power and the divine plan brings you many, many returns. And that relationship, that sacred relationship, gives you everything that you have, everything that you are. And so you can trust. It's not important to know or understand it all. What I have been bringing forth, and what all of us who are participating from the highest of high and on high to all of the angelic realms, even the realms of the guides and the guardians and the ancestor spirits, the animal spirits, all participating. What it does require in order to play your role and to co-create in the way that you are meant to co-create is to use the virtues, use the virtuous energies. Own them as powers that you have to co-create with, as I have said previously. And so if I have not made it clear, I choose to make it clear now that there is the virtue of respect that is very essential for everything that you want in your lives and everything you want in your world, and for all of the healing that needs to take place. There needs to be a shift into unity consciousness, and the quickening is shifting everyone into unity consciousness, even if that shift has not taken place in everyone yet. It will eventually. Because the quickening leaves no one out. There is no stone, there is no insect, there is no living entity of which these higher orchestrated energies advancing the quickening of humanity and the earth leave behind. There's no leaving anyone behind. There's no excluding anyone, for you are all one. As I like to say, as we like to teach, and especially at times like this, individual, yet indivisible. But to really understand that, there has to be respect. To deeply experience that, there has to be respect. Respecting yourselves, deeply respecting yourselves. And acting in ways that you stay true to that respect that you have for yourselves. Such as acting with integrity. Which goes hand in hand with respect. Respecting others, which then allows for you to be able to love. You cannot love others, you cannot love yourself if you are not respecting others, if you are not respecting yourself. That love would be conditional, very conditional, and temporary. As there are many different types of love. Love that is eternal, love that is infinite, love that is pure, and there is temporary emotion that you call love. Those things are possible without respect and without the other virtues, but not the quality of love that you are and the quality of love that you seek and that you choose to co-create with prior to coming into this lifetime in your soul contracts. Respect is foundational for all of your relationships. In order to have a relationship with anyone or anything else, it must be there. And when you show that respect, amazing things can happen. Respect for the earth, for the animals, for the plants, for the trees, for the insects. Deeply respecting them and their place within the whole, and how they are a part of that oneness. It is not just humanity that exists in that unity and oneness. It truly is all beings, and this is one of the biggest shifts of all. Shifting into seeing your collective oneness is a big shift for humanity. But it is even bigger when you start to bring in that awareness, consciousness of your interconnection and your oneness with all. And your relationship with all, and treating all with respect. But then there are other ways and other things to respect. Respecting history, for example. As I said, this is a time period right now, and the energies that are coming in are spiraling in things that are and have been in process and will continue to be in process from other times and other times in history where the story is still unfolding. The connections are there and the story is still unfolding. Without respecting time, without respecting space and what they really are, and not taking them for granted. Because there's so much that in your modern day times and in your modern day lives that gets taken for granted. And it is always a sign when you are taking something or someone for granted that there is some step of respect that is needed to be reconnected or remade or made anew. Because all that has come before you, all of the people that have come before you and their stories and the richness and the fullness of their lives and what they have sacrificed so that all of you are here now and live now and survive and thrive now. All of that is to be respected. Does it mean you have to agree with it? No. You do not have to agree with somebody or something. You do not even have to like somebody or something in order to respect them. You do not have to agree with what has happened in the history of humankind, in the history of what you've co-created, or even like it. In order to respect that that history is still important, even if it is just important that it be learned from, so as to never be repeated again. When people say that history repeats itself, it is indeed an energy pattern that spirals back again, an energy pattern that is not limited by time or space, that will continue to spiral and move. An energy pattern that usually remains until something is learned or something is completed or something is healed or something is transformed or transcended or transmuted, or any or all combinations of what I've just described. But when you apply the virtue of respect, whether you like or dislike something that has happened in your history or the collective history, then you can actually have the opportunity to heal something if it is something that you dislike, or to correct something if it is something that you dislike. It is easy for each generation that comes into the world, incarnates into the world, to look back at previous generations and judge those previous generations, and in some cases, judge them harshly, and in many cases, judge them falsely. And it doesn't matter which generation it is, any new generation tends to have this tendency. It's been going on for, again, centuries and millennia. But just because the pattern's been going on for a long time doesn't mean that it should be allowed to continue to go on. And each and every generation on the planet right now has the opportunity to respect each other and has the opportunity to respect all that has come before. This includes many wonderful things also, not just things that you dislike. Some of the greatest concepts, ideas, beliefs, visions, aspirations, intentions for humankind. Some of the highest of history can still be applied, can still be brought forth, and still be manifested and lived for all generations now and for all generations in the future, if respect is applied appropriately and along with other virtues that also help in that process. One virtue that would need to be applied along with respect in order to still bring forward some of those greatest concepts and ideas and beliefs and visions that you have all inherited and are meant to bring into manifestation. One of the other virtues to use that is very needed to be combined with respect for that process is hope. Because if you don't believe that there's hope in doing so, then you won't even try. There won't even be any effort put forth. Those things will be abandoned. Abandoning some of your highest ideals, some of your species' greatest accomplishments and visions is not advised. In fact, it is recommended that you see them through new eyes. And that is exactly what many of you are being given the opportunity to do right now, and that you will continue in even greater numbers to be given the opportunity to do so in the coming months ahead, especially between now and the upcoming winter solstice. Between this solstice and the next solstice, there will just be more opportunities for even more people to understand and have the experience of what I am saying. But it is essential that hope be there along with respect. Where there is hope, there is willingness. Where there is hope, there can be conviction, effort. Where there is hope, there can be action, dedication, commitment. When there is no hope and someone feels a sense of hopelessness, it undermines those things that I just listed and expressed, and creates a type of disconnection that's an unhealthy form of disconnection. It's not healthy detachment, it is an unhealthy form of disconnection. It creates a type of apathy and lethargy. The list could go on. Combining respect and hope together is what I am advising. And having people in your life and things that you do with your life that instill these or that inspire these. To disrespect and to lose hope and to become hopeless is another way of also misusing or turning over one's power. Hopelessness is a way of turning your power over, not owning it, not using it, not accepting it. Disrespect does it as well in a different way. There is always hope. There will always be hope, as I have spoken of before in regards to this virtue. There's never a moment in all of existence in which we in the angelic realm ever lose that virtue or any of the virtues. Really, it can't be lost. It can only be given over. It can only be relinquished. So practice bringing hope in, like bringing in the light of this solstice sun and letting it fill you. For no vision would ever be envisioned, no dream would ever be dreamed. None of those things would even exist or come forth if hope didn't spring forth. And if it weren't real, and always, always there. When you respect history, you can learn from it, apply it, you can manifest it in whole new ways instead of repeating it. You can build upon it and advance it, which is what you're all needing to do, individually and collectively, in the world and in your nation. And all of the virtues that it is built upon. And just knowing this alone inspires hope. I do wish to speak also, in addition, about the importance of integrity. If one is not acting in integrity, it is very difficult for there to be respect. It is difficult for others to give that respect. And it is difficult for the person who is not acting in integrity to receive that respect. Because deep inside, the soul knows when you are acting out of your own integrity and when you are not. And when the soul knows that you are not, the part of your mind that you refer to as your conscience is there, steps in. But this does not mean, however, that you are unworthy to receive. It just means that when you break that integrity, when you go against your own integrity, you lose respect in your own self. And then the inner judge and the inner critic and the shadow can take deep, deep root and erode self-worth. And that self-worth can be rebuilt. The self-esteem, any diminishment of either can be rebuilt through returning and strengthening and fortifying one's integrity, respecting yourself enough to do so. And knowing that there is always, always, always hope. That you will do so, and there will be divine grace and divine mercy always available at every step of the way. There is always divine grace and always divine mercy involved in everything, including the quickening, including everything that is happening with the light and the energy advancements and evolution that is taking place. There is great divine mercy in that, and there is divine mercy and grace always there even when you feel that you can't, even when you feel that something is irreparable. What makes it go from being irreparable to repairable is that presence of divine grace and divine mercy that's always there. There's been nothing in your personal histories, nothing in your collective, in your societal's histories, in your nations and your world nations' histories that is irreparable. Because the presence of divine grace and divine mercy makes it so. Allows for it to be so. But you have to be willing to accept, embrace, allow that divine mercy and that divine grace to move in you and your life. And choose to respect each other and be in integrity so that revenge isn't sought, retribution isn't sought. As those things just continue to create the same energy, just in new ways again and again, the old patterns just in new ways again and again. The last thing I will speak of in this message today, as I choose to make it short in order to have it be potent and in order to be clear in what I am saying, is that I will also speak about the topic of authority. You all are authorities in your own way. There is something within you, a spark, a seed of greatness within each of you that is something that you are an authority of, and that you can embrace within yourself and own that power and authority. Because when you do so, you will co-create from that place, and you will co-create a world with a balance of power and a balance of authority. But if you see no authority or power within yourself, and you do not respect that within yourself, or use it in integrity, or have hope of growing it and expanding it and embracing it, then you will always seek to give the power and authority over to others. Hopefully they are acting in those virtues and they will use it wisely. But many don't do that. Honoring, respecting the authority given to others, the power and authority that you all have co-created, even in your systems, is important. Does that mean that they cannot be advanced? No. Does it mean that they cannot be restructured, improved? No. Respecting something doesn't mean that it still cannot be evolved. But you can't have true evolution without that step. But if you're not respecting your own power and your own authority, or you're doing the exact opposite of that and choosing things and acting in ways in which you undermine your own power and authority, then you just get caught in a loop of karma. And that power and authority sometimes the energy goes to someone else. It doesn't leave you entirely. It is just an energy transference, so to speak, for lack of a better word. And if others are chosen to be in power and authority, as it is sometimes necessary for leaders, for example, the virtues are very important qualities in wielding your own power and authority, and very important energies for co-creation for all who are in acceptance of any place of power and authority. You individually and collectively are needing to embrace that. Authority that you have within you, and that you do have collectively and co-creatively. You really do. It's not an illusion. You really do have the power to co-create. And that's part of the quickening as well. Awakening you to that power to co-create. What I have referred to as the culture of love. What I have referred to as heaven on earth. And there could be so many other names applied and terms used. Pause and take in all of the words and the energy that I am transmitting now, and the light activations that are taking place now. Let yourself absorb these words just as you would absorb the light of the sun, taking them in. These words are being sent out through the energetic technologies that you have co-created. The electromagnetic grids and systems that you use for communications in order to spread the energies there. Because the quickening is going to leave nothing and no one out. No place remains untouched. No one remains untouched. Many may not feel ready, but you are ready. You are ready. Humanity is ready for this evolutionary leap, and it must be done. Because the planet is also requiring it of you. The awakening is a part of the quickening. And there are more awakening right now. And the feminine power and the masculine power and authority awakening even further right now. The energy within the planet awakening, being quickened further right now. The things that your imaginations have created and brought forth, changing things very rapidly right now. There's no other time. It is here and now, where you always exist. And it's here and now that the quickening advances. For peace and harmony and justice and liberty and equality and hope and love for all. That's the end of the message. Let's just take a moment to silently all say a prayer of thankfulness and appreciation for the message. And then we'll silently just chant Adonai Elohim by itself to complete the process and bring it back to praise once again. We'll just silently do Adonai Elohim by itself as I do it out loud. Everybody can join silently. Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim. We'll slowly bring ourselves up out of the meditation. As I'm coming up out of the meditation, I'll share a few things that stood out to me. One is this message about respect. In 2009, I channeled a message from Archangel Michael that was videoed and put out on public access television on the subject of 2012 and the great shift that was the shift of the ages happening then and happening in this time period in our lives. And one of the things that was so important in that message that he spoke about was the subject of respect. And I've always wanted him to speak more about it. I didn't particularly think he was going to talk about it today, but it is clear to me. It was clear that one of the things that he's kind of touching base on as far as like something from the past that's still present and active is that, you know, what he began to talk about how we have to respect each other during this shift of the ages, and we have to respect on a very broad way, like bring that back into our applications in our daily lives, especially in areas where we may have lost it or we may be like minimizing it. It seems that it ties directly to this bigger the quickening he's talking about, which is also part of that bigger like shift and prophetic shift of the ages that he's spoken about previously. So, and we don't have to hear any of those messages to get great benefit from this message, but just know that there is a context also to that. And another thing that stood out to me, and it's been very evident to me all day long, especially, but just a lot recently, is the interconnectedness of everything and how interconnected the virtues are, how interconnected we are, how interconnected history, you know, all this interconnection. I think the way that every time he speaks about it, it helps us to realize it even more. And so are there practical applications of it in our lives? Yes, I think that's why the virtues are as important and appealing to so that practical application and be able to be something that we can practically apply. And we may think that we're doing it, right? It's like that was the other thing that I was aware of very much. I mean, not only is he speaking through me, but sometimes I feel like he's speaking to me, and always looking at that place of like, and here's where you may not be respecting yourself, or here's where you may not be, you know, having that hope as strongly as you can have it, and here's where you may not be. So just be able to like then say, okay, maybe in general, maybe 99% of the time I am, but there may be this 1% or this 5% or this 20% of the time in which I'm not, and then that becomes an area where some real practical work can be done, even though it might not always be easy inner work. So those are some of the things that stood out to me about it. You know, being here in the nation's capital makes a lot of people think about negative things. Makes people think sometimes about all the conflict or disagreement or polarization. But what I and the people that I've been with have been really connecting with and tuning in is the beauty of everything we have co-created, and what we do have to build upon, what's here for us to build upon. So I'll leave it with some inspiration of that, because I still have a few more days here and a few more days left on the tour, and then I'll be wrapping it up and completing it and returning back to my office in California next week. A couple quick announcements I like to make is that in case you haven't tuned in or connected to some of the other things coming up, you can always look onto my events page also on my website and see other events that are coming up on the schedule, including my mystical Lake Louise retreat that is happening in Alberta, Canada in September. That's something I'm very excited about, and other events that are up there as well. So I'm going to open it now for anybody to make any comments or questions. Please feel free to go ahead and write those in the chat right now. I see people, it's just telling me like raised hands. So let me go into the chat and see if anybody has put any comments or anything in there. Not quite sure why it's just saying raised hand. And I don't know how to pull up that. So just, if you could just type whatever comment or question you have into the chat, then I'm happy to be able to answer that for you. And Christy says, thank you for the session. Powerful and timely message.